Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today's offering is a 1967 kit from Heller of the Caudron 714, 1/72nd scale. This is kit number L096 with box art by a gentleman by the name of Paul Langelet. So the Caudron is an aircraft that many of you may not be familiar with. But it originated from a 1936 request for a light fighter that could be built out of wood and rapidly put into production without disruption of other aircraft that were being put in production. The Arsenal VG-30, the Bloch MB-700, and the Caudron 710 were all ordered as prototypes. The Caudron 710 did not receive a production order. The Bloch did get something, and the Arsenal was modified into a more advanced fighter a little bit later, and did start getting into some production. So the 710 was not ordered. It was developed originally from a series of racers that Caudron had been making in the 30s. That had very long noses, and the cockpit set way back, and you see that carried over into this aircraft. The initial C-710 had fixed spatted gear and a 20mm Hispano HS-9 cannon with 60 rounds per gun under each wing in a pod. It was powered by a Renault 12R-01. It was a supercharged, inverted, air-cooled V12 engine. And it first flew 18 July of 1936. Top speed was 283 miles per hour at 13,000 feet. Ultimately, it was destroyed in a crash on February 1st, 1938. And as I mentioned before, it wasn't ordered into production. Caudron went back to the drawing board, developed the C-713, which flew on the 15th of December of 37. Revised the tail. The original C-10 had this round circular tail like the racers, so they went to this more triangular tail, and also then added retractable gear, which then increased the top speed a bit. And then finally the C-714, which flew in April of 38, received a new airfoil on the wing, and they replaced the 20mm cannons with four 7.5 millimeter MAC 1934 machine guns. The engine was upgraded to the 12R-03 with a new carburetor, which put out a little bit more horsepower. Initially, there was 20 that were ordered on 5 November of 1938, with an option for 180 more, which the French government then exercised as war started. Then production started in the summer of 38, but the first deliveries did not happen until January of 1940. It was withdrawn from service almost immediately. By February 1940, they pulled it out because they recognized that this was a very poor aircraft. It did not climb well, did not do a whole lot well. It was underarmed. Pilots had a hard time, flying it. It just was not a very good aircraft. So they pulled it out of service almost immediately. The order was cut back to apparently 90 aircraft that were already in production. The French government decided that 80 of those aircraft that were built were going to be exported to Finland to help them out in their fight. But only 6 of those ended up ultimately being delivered. 10 of them were sitting on the docks when the Germans came a-calling. And so the Finns, when they got it, saw that it was a pretty bad aircraft, and they did not commit it to combat. And if the Finns are saying no to something, you know that it's got to be bad, because they took the hand-me-downs of everybody and did amazing things with it. So if they turn this thing down, it's got to be a bad plane. So in French service in France still, on 18 May of 1940, 35 of them were delivered to the Polish Warsaw Squadron. These were guys who had escaped Poland. A lot of them went through, I think, Romania, escaped Romania, and then made their way to France to continue to fight the Germans. Some of these guys were actually trying to get into Finland, but ended up just being in France. So the squadron was Groupe de Chasse Polonaise 1/1/145, and they were based at Mons Airfield in France. After only 23 sorties, the aircraft was declared non-operational and ordered to be withdrawn from service by 25 May. Polish pilots ignored the order because they just wanted to fight, so they just kept continuing to fly the aircraft until there were no more. They claimed 12 confirmed victories, 3 unconfirmed. Of those 12, 4 of them were Dornier 17s, 5 were BF-110s, and 3 were BF-109s. And those all occurred between 8 and 13 June of 1940. They lost 9 in aerial combat and 9 on the ground. Total production number is unclear. There's different estimates of either 53 or 98. There's one still in existence, one that survived in Finland. Finland kept the airframes around until like 1948, in secondary line service and training and whatnot. Germans had acquired a few of these when they occupied France, sent them into training units, and there they didn't last very long either because, again, this was not a very good aircraft. Interesting side note, some of you may be familiar with a pilot by the name of Mike Gladich. Flew with the 56 Fighter Squadron, with the 61st Fighter Squadron the 56 Fighter Group in the 61st Fighter Squadron with Francis Gabreski. Boleslaw Mike Gladich was a Polish pilot who was not able to participate in the Polish campaign. He was commissioned, on September 1st, so he just missed fighting the Polish campaign, but did make his way to Romania, then into France, and then got assigned to the squadron here. And he got into some combat. It's unclear as to whether or not he had downed any aircraft when he was flying, but he did see some combat with them. Ended up escaping to Great Britain, flew with the RAF, and then ended up flying sort of surreptitiously, underhandedly, unofficially with the 56, along with a few other Polish pilots that Gabreski brought over. And his ultimate score was 17 confirmed, 2 probables, and 1 shared victory. While he was with the 56, he downed 10 that are confirmed by Army Air Forces records. It's reported that he may have shot down more than that, and that he was underclaiming, his kills because he did not want to get promoted out of fighting. And just kind of a little extra side note of somebody who flew one of these went on to greater fame and success when they had a decent aircraft with them. So let's take a look at the kit itself. So we've got this pretty nice artwork. Heller kits, especially in the 70s, had some really nice artwork on them. I think it's very French, but very, very nice looking. A little problem with the design, though, is that they ran the name across as black smoke, so it's kind of hard to read the name on here. This is part of the Musée series, as they were boxed in the 60s. And the artwork wraps around the side, and in fact you got the artist signature and the Caudron C1, 714 C1, and this was painted at 66 for the 67 release. And then we've got the kit number over here. This side, the box art wraps around on the top as well. On the end, repetition of the box art and kit number. Same thing on this end. On the bottom of the box, this is a side opening box. Got a list of other aircraft in the same series, and also telling you that there's other model kits available. These are all pretty much all World War II or pre-World War II aircraft, with the exception of the SPAD. They're all French, with the exception of the Curtiss 75. And let's get this box open here and take a look at what's inside. So this kit does come bagged. This kit has never been opened, so we are going to open it up. see what we got inside. So first thing we'll take a look at, we got an insert here, it looks like. So this is promoting the Cadet series. These were small 100th scale or smaller aircraft. And looks like if you got a problem, send in for it. And here's a list of some of the other kits that they make. And here we have their instruction sheet. So we've got kind of an exploded view with little inset details. We've got our painting instructions up over here, history of the kit, and then here's the step-by-step instructions of how to assemble it. Got part number call out down over in the corner here, and another thing for sending in if you have some missing parts. Backside has everything written in English, and let's see, what is this? Maybe German? Yeah, I think that's German. So pretty typical of 60s style instructions. Here are decals. Decals have not fared too well. They've yellowed and they've looks like they've gotten stuck to probably the paper at some point. And this matches up with the box art here with the Polish markings and the white 6. And I was not able to locate a photograph of white 6, but there are photographs of the other aircraft from that squadron. So I will show you those here. What's interesting, I find on some of these French aircraft is that the underwing markings are large, but the top of the wing are these tiny little roundels for the top. But yet they've got these big white, stripes on there, so it's not really camouflagey if you're kind of making your insignia really small to hide it, but then put these big giant stripes on your tail. Kind of seems counterproductive. On the back here, you've got instructions on how to apply them, and specifically, this is for the Caudron. So let me show you some of those photographs here. All right, let's take a look at the plastic. So we've got fuselage halves over here. Like there's some representation of fabric covering on the rear part here. Some raised lines for some of the other panels. We've got ring and bead gun sight there. We've got a small representation of the exhaust. Here's our upper cowling deck. Here's our nose. Propeller has gotten broken here, it looks like. Got some gear door, tiny little wheels on this aircraft. Here's your landing struts and some other bits and pieces on there. There's our tail, which does have fabric representation on there as well. Nothing on the interior except a big giant Heller logo on there. So a fairly clean mold. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of flash on here. Then we'll look at our wings. We've got our lower wing here. You can see the giant pods they had to put on here in order just to house just 30 caliber machine guns or 7.5 millimeter machine guns. And there's some representation of the gun ports. Looks like maybe these here were supposed to be the machine guns sticking out of those, so they do supply those. And again, some pretty fine raised panel lining on this. And then here we have our upper wing. Some fabric representation on the ailerons, which carry over into the bottom. Nothing for interior on it. Here's our other wing. The pitot tube looks like it's gotten bent. And we do have, looks like part numbers on the trees, which will help for building. And then here we have our canopy. This is actually really nice. Pretty thin, especially for the time period. It does have raised framing, but very minimal. It's not, you know, that giant thick framing that you see on a lot of kits. So a little bit more accurate. It does just kind of slot in there, so this is still kind of solid on here, but pretty clear looking little canopy. Pretty impressive. So there you have it. There's the Heller Caudron. So Heller issued this kit a few times. This is the initial release of 67. There was another issue in the 60s as well. The next issue was in 74. 79, they went to a new box art. The whole line from Heller was revised in the late 70s to the black, a little bit more squarish boxes. So they developed some new artwork for that. In 93, they went to another type of box, another side opening box again, unfortunately. And then they got new decals for that one. And that one appears to be possibly for Mike Gladich's aircraft. Doesn't say for sure, but I think that may have been. Smir did one of their releases. Smir issued a lot of Heller kits. They did their Caudron in 96. They also did include finish markings with theirs, which is kind of neat. And then finally in 2014, Heller reissued the kit with the 1979 artwork, and they also issued a starter set with it at the time too. So, you know, it didn't get a lot of releases, but they're out there. So if you're looking to build a Caudron, if you find this an interesting aircraft and want to add it to your collection, they're out there. So definitely pick one up. So as always, if you've got one of these in your collection, take a picture of it and send it in for our next viewer build video. If you've built one of these, you know, tell us about your experience with it, and we'd like to hear about it. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.